Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to show you how to use SQLite inside your applications. I have got a lot of requests from people asking about SQLite. How do we add them to a database? How to our app? So first thing, let's know what SQLite is. SQLite is a lightweight database which is used, and let's create one SQLite database. So in this, what we're going to do is we're going to create a table database, fill some values inside it, and in the application we're going to import this database and see how we can get those data from the database. So first let me show you how to add database. So first let me go to desktop and create a SQLite database. You create that by saying SQLite 3 and a data table called as SQPerson. So I just SQLite 3. Once I create that database, now I can create a table inside it. Call it create table. The table name, let's give it person. And what do I need inside it? Unique ID. Just say the ID of the person, which is integer, of the type integer, name, text, and address. Text. A bunch of different tutorials on SQLite basics. You can look through them if you don't understand any of these, but if you have any experience with database, you know what I'm doing here right now. And then I go ahead and insert. If you see that there's a database file created on your desktop, it's a flat file. It doesn't need any server or anything. You can just you can think of it as a text file. So insert into. Now I need to insert something into this table. Person values. Say one, name is Vivian, address 23 Main Street. Can do the same thing, and I can say instead of one I need two. Say John Smith, address is 234 Main Street. Can do the same thing again, and number 3, and gender, very popular names, 345. Okay, there we go. We have our data. See if it's inside that. Select star from person table. So we have all the 3 fields. We don't need this anymore, so I can just go ahead and quit it and can close this. And let's go ahead and make a project in which we will be importing the database. So once I have that, I'll create a view-based application, test SQL, save it on the desktop. Go ahead and I will add the database file to my supporting files because it's a supporting file. You can add it anywhere you want. File, desktop, person, SQLite, copy items into destination, add, and there we go. We have our database file inside here. Now what I need to do is I want to make a class which represents this database object. So I'll go ahead and I say new file, Objective-C type, and then this object. Say it is person info. It is this file, class file represents how the person table is represented. So go to .h and we have this. Now we need some more variables. Say unique ID represented by this, and as string star the name that we had, and we had a couple of one more thing as string star address. So we had this. We create @ property non-atomic. Since it's integer, I'll say assign int unique ID, and the next one for the string non-atomic copy, and as string star the name is name. That copy and paste it because both are objects. So address. Once we have that, next I need a function which actually calls initializes this method with some values. You'll see what this is in a moment. Int id init with, let's say I want to call it with unique id, and that is integer, and call it unique id. Name is ns string star name. So this is what we're gonna pass to this function. State is ns, not space, address. We don't have state and city, we just have one string. Address ns string star address. So we have this. Once we have all this, let's go to our .m file and do the rest of the things. So we have id, name and address, so we need to synthesize them. Synthesize, just copy and paste it and then put commas here, it's much faster. So we have that synthesized. Now I need that function, so I just copy that function, go here and paste it. Say, guess this font is a little small. Let me go to preferences and change this font to presentation style so you can see much clearly. Okay, this is much easier to read, I guess. Okay, inside this I will say if self equal to super init. What you're doing is you are actually you're calling the initialization function, and at the same time you're also saying if self is equal to super init, and then I will say it will give a warning here, but it's all same as if self equal to super init, and then saying if self, then what do? We say self dot unique id equal to unique id, whatever is passed by the other guy. We just name equal to name, self dot address equal to address. That comes here. So once we have these three, we can do is we can, since it returns this, needs this object, say return self. So we have this function pretty much written down. It's always better to write the dialog function too, so we'll just write that. So let's say what all we need to dialog: self dot name equal to nil, self dot address equal to nil, and then we need to call the super dialog function. So once we have this is all good to go. Next we need to write a class for the database which accesses the database and does the database manipulations. So I'll just move these here, make one more file, same ns object type, and I will call this file person database. I think that itself is good. So create that file. Now we have this person database file. I'll bring this up. Foundation, we need to do a lot of SQLite methods here, so we need to include the SQLite files. So it's located in user / include / SQLite 3.h. So once we have that, we're good with that. Next we need to go to SQLite. We have to create a database of object SQLite 3, and then we need to write a class method to get the person database star database. So it initializes only one instance of this, So whenever anyone wants a database, it will just call this method and get that particular, and then I'm gonna make an array to get all the objects. So this will call get all persons function, which will get all list of the entire persons that we created in our database, the 3 people that we created in the start. Next we'll go to .m file and create implementation file. I will call a static person. I'll make object person database, so there's only one instance of the database at a time instead of having multiple ones. So once I have that, I need to implement these 2 functions, copy them and paste them here. So let's say, so what do we put inside these? So this needs a database. So if database exists is equal to nil. If it doesn't exist, so then we have to create a database, or we return the database that is available, this which was created before, which is same as person database allocate initialize else return, not else, return database. So this will return the database that was created. So this is cool. And then next we need to write the initialization function. I can just say init and it will automatically write the function for me. And now what do I need to write inside this self? So first I will go ahead and I need to access the database file. So I will say SQLite database equal to, so this is where we get handle to the database, say ns bundle main bundle path for resource, our file name is person of type. What is the type of that file? It's SQLite 3. SQLite 3. So once we have that, we're all good. So we have the handle for that. Now I will call something from the SQLite file that we actually imported. It's called SQLite 3 open. I'm trying to open the SQLite file. What does it need? A file name. Now we already have a file name which is file name and the database object SQLite 3. So the file name, we have it SQLite, the name that I gave you, SQLite DB here, but then it doesn't understand what it is because it's of this type and a string. So I will convert it into UTF-8 string, which it understands. This function is a basic C function and it needs the database. So I'll say and database. So this is what will return as the database. So once we have that, I can say ns log if SQLite open page database. But there's one more thing left, I think. Not equal to SQLite. Okay, so it doesn't, if it doesn't is not a SQLite file, then we can say failed to open database. So that's what we'll do here. And next we'll go ahead and write the dialog function. Move a little bit more space. So void dialog super dialog. Then we need to close the database. 3 is SQLite 3 underscore close and the database, which is a database. So this is good. Next we need to do is write this get all persons. So So first we will do an is mutable array. This will call the return array equal to ns mutable array allocate init say auto release. So that's there. Now we write the query equal to the rate select say star from persons. That's the name I gave. I don't remember if it was persons or person. We can just open this with text editor and we can check what it is. So I can just open with text edit. So I guess you can't see much from this table, but I guess it's persons or person. I don't know. Let's call it person. I guess it's person. We'll see that later. Anyway, so we get all these details here in this query. Now I need to run this query. So first I will create a SQLite 3 underscore statement star statement. So we created that. Now I say if SQLite 3 prepare, and sometimes this can be a little step. Now I'm going to prepare underscore v2. Now it needs a database ZSQL. We just give it -1. ZSQL is actually the query that we created. Query UTF, again it's not UTF-8 format, so we'll call it UTF-8, and then bytes is -1. SQLite statement where it will get the details is, we'll say statement and need something like which is nil. So once we have that, I will say this is equal to SQLite. If it's okay with SQLite, then do this. So this means that our query went through. If this function goes, it means that our query is good. Now we can loop through the query. So I say while SQLite 3 step through that statement, so that is statement equal to SQLite. Okay, again, oh sorry, is a SQLite row. We have to check that the statement is a valid SQLite row. If it is, then I can just get my variables from it. Unique ID equal to SQLite 3 column. We need to get the column integer. SQL, it's of the types integer, so that's why I said SQL. Then I need where it is statement comma, which is the row 0 row. So once I have that, next I need, now the text is in the form of characters, so we have to get it in characters. So let's call it name characters equal to just character star SQLite 3 column text this time, and it's from the statement and it's the first one, so that's there. Copy this, paste it, name, and the next one was address. It's pretty tedious process, but it's very easy once you know how to do it. You can just copy paste this code again and again and use it multiple places. Now we need to convert that variables into string. So say convert first name equal to a string allocate init with UTF-8 string, because those are characters, so we need to convert it into that. So name characters, and then is string star address equal to the same one, but address character. So once we have this, both of them, now we need to call a instance of that info file, person info file. I think I have imported that file. Let me go ahead and import person info. So now I can just call that person info star info. Let's make an object of that, and I'll say person info allocate init with, this is the function that we wrote that time. This is where we are going to populate that. Unique ID, name is name, address is address. So we have that function, and then we'll say return array, add object, then add this object inside that return array. What else did we allocate? Name, release, and then so just releasing whatever we allocated. We don't want memory problems. So once we do this, this is good. Let's see if there's anything else. Also the info file, we have added that to the array, so we don't need that info anymore. And then after that, once I'm done with all this, I have to finalize the SQLite statement. This is required finalize, and say finalize the statement, and then return. This is array, so just say return expression. What is my, it's the return array. Since it return type is an array, we have to give back the array which we created. So this will have all the elements from the person table. Now if I want to, let's see if it works, just to see if did everything fine. So if I run this project right now, it will give me some warnings because I didn't add the SQLite framework to it. So I can just go to my project, go to build faces and link by, and it's called SQLite 3.dynamic library. I think that's what we need. Let's run it again and see. Yeah, it works. Opens iPhone. It kind of does everything, but right now we are not yet did anything in that view controller file, and it's not connected to anything. So view controller file, I go ahead. So currently it will just show the view, add the window and show the view controller on top of it. So that's what happens. Nothing happens in the application. So I will go ahead and say person info, just import the two files, person database. So I have two of them. When the view loads, can just go ahead here, and after the view is loaded, I want to display those, so we'll just log them as log messages ns array. So get the arrays first. Say person info equal to, let's get the array of person info person. So we need the instance of database, create the database, and then we need to call that function which was select, what was it? Let's go ahead and see it in the database. Get all persons. So call it get all persons. So this will have that detail. Now we can loop through the entire person info object inside an array and display them in person info. So this will loop through them, and now I need to show ns log. So the first one was id, so that is %d, name is %@, and then this is %@. These are objects. So info dot unique id, info dot name, and info dot address. So this should display it unless we did some mess up some table name or something. So let's see if it runs. I run the application, it opens up, and in the log at the bottom should give the info. Let's see, one Vivian Arana, 2 John Smith, and 3 Jane Doe. So it does work, and that's how you access SQLite. I mean, use SQLite. You can do a bunch of different things. You can insert. All you need to do is put different queries here. I just selected from all. You can if you don't know SQL, I would say you better learn that if you want to use SQLite. And you can write a bunch of different functions. I got get all persons. You can say get a particular person with ID, all those different functions, which whatever you need. So this is how SQLite works. And thanks for watching the video, and if you have any questions, please post them in the comments. I will be doing core data next, and a little bit in future I'll be showing you how to access XML and JSON. Thank you, and see you later.